So, you've decided, or someone has decided for you, that you're going to play Counter-Strike. Congratulations, this game is truly one of the most rewarding games to learn, and actually has a lot of transferable skills to other FPS games. Counter-Strike is the holy grail of the tactical skill-based shooter world, and I'd like to personally welcome you in. Upon launching the game for the first time, it can all seem a little overwhelming, so I'm going to try and walk you through it. The most important thing to keep in mind is that Counter-Strike is a round-based game, unlike most other shooters. If you've come over from Valorant, you'll be more familiar with this concept, but if not, don't worry, it'll make much more sense in a minute. The first big thing I am going to recommend, however, is that you buy Prime status. It's £11 for me in the UK, and honestly is very much worth the cost. You of course don't need to buy it straight away, the game is more than playable without it, and you can definitely get to grips with Counter-Strike without it, but it is the first purchase that I'd recommend you make. So, why did I suggest that you do that? Prime status essentially unlocks the whole game experience, but also acts as a barrier against nefarious actors, which are typically cheaters. It does this by only matching you with other Prime status accounts. Again, you don't need to do this immediately, but if you decide that you do enjoy this game and are likely to stick around, pick up Prime and I promise you won't regret it. Furthermore, buying Prime gives you access to your weekly drops, which you're then able to sell on the Steam market, so over a long enough period of time, Prime can actually pay for itself, or those funds can potentially go towards other games. So, let's assess this main menu. The character in the middle is obviously you. You're able to purchase agent skins later down the line, but they're entirely cosmetic and not at all necessary to enjoy the game. On the left, we can see the weekly mission, which by completing it grants you a bonus experience. This refreshes every week on a Wednesday. Moving down is the Armory Pass, a paid extra that allows you to earn stars while you play, which you can then redeem for a random skin, charm, sticker, and other additional cosmetics. Again, not at all necessary, but a nice little extra if you need a little more incentive. Below this, you'll see a selection of whichever promotions and events are running at the time. So, in my case, it's the Cologne 2026 Major. Yours will likely look different to mine, depending on when you're watching this, and realistically, none of this is important for getting started. On the far right is where your friends will show up, and unfortunately, I'm only friends with myself, so you can only see my main account here. But up top, that's where the exciting stuff is. Your inventory and loadout serve similar functions, but the inventory is more of an easy-to-read collection of all your items, whereas the loadout is obviously where you will build your loadout. The loadout system is split into 3 categories, but for the time being, I'm going to suggest that you leave this as is. You can always come back and test different guns at a later date. On the right of that is the play button, but we'll come back to that later on as well. And on the right of that is the shop, but also the tab where you can claim your weekly drop. And then on the right of that is where the news and the updates tab is, which is where you'll find blog posts after each major update. So, let's dive in and press the play button. The game will prompt you to begin a brief trading day, and you're going to want to hit OK. You're going to load into a map, which is Dust 2, and you're going to start on the terrorist side. Now, the objective here is to plant the bomb and detonate it, or eliminate all of the enemy players, when the banner flashes up on screen, regardless of what it says. Congratulations, you've just played your first round of Counter-Strike. After that first round, if you look in the bottom left, you'll see you have some money. This allows you to buy a new weapon. If you survive a round, you'll retain the weapon you brought over on the previous round, so you don't have to rebuy a weapon over and over. I'll go more in depth with this a little while later, but for now, I just want you to focus on finding a gun that you like the look of and trying it out. Again, I'll go over some recommendations in a later video, but just keep in mind that as you play, you earn money. You spend the money on stuff, and if you survive, you keep your stuff. If not, you've got to rebuy, and then you rinse and repeat until the end of the half. So, play out the next few rounds, perhaps try out some different guns, and I'll meet you at the end of the half. Now, you're going to play 6 rounds on the counter-terrorist side. Their job? To eliminate all 5 terrorists and to stop them from planting the bomb. If they do, you can defuse it. The game won't tell you which site the bomb is planted at, but each defuse map will only have 2 sites, labelled A and B. Another thing worth noting is that the first round of every half is a pistol round. It's a round where everyone starts with a pistol, and not enough money to upgrade until the next round. Again, I'll let you test out some of the weapons here on CT side, and play out the remainder of the game in peace. Congratulations, you've just played your first Counter-Strike map. The first of many, I hope. you'll see this new pop-up asking if you'd like to explore casual, replay the tutorial, or browse all maps. For our purposes, I want you to go to Browse, and then navigate to the workshop maps, and then press this little button down here. This will take you to the community workshop, which is where people can publish skin submissions, maps, and guides. Navigate over to the search bar, and we're looking for two maps, Crash's Crosshair Generator and Crash's Viewmodel Generator. Just click the little plus next to each of them, and wait for them to download. What I've just done is give you an easy option to customize basic things such as your crosshair and your weapon's position on screen. You may have noticed during the tutorial that your crosshair went up as you shot, or perhaps you found that your gun was too big or too far to one side, or perhaps you'd rather shoot left-handed. These maps can help you with all of this. If you didn't feel there's anything wrong with your Viewmodel and you're totally happy with how it is though, then feel free to skip to the next section about crosshairs, but if not, let's boot into Crash's Viewmodel Generator as this is the most straightforward map. You should find yourself on this little island facing this board. This board represents all the values that your Viewmodel can be. For example, say you wanted a smaller Viewmodel. You'd shoot X 2.5, Y 2.0, and Z minus 2.0, and then Viewmodel FOV 68. If you wanted a left-handed Viewmodel, you'd shoot the single left-handed option. Now, there are definitely some things as good Viewmodels and bad Viewmodels, but I'll let you play around here for now, and then when you're done we'll move on to the next map. Likewise with the Viewmodel section, if you feel that the default crosshair is perfectly serviceable, feel free to skip this section as well, no hard feelings. If not, stick around and I'll show you how to customize your crosshair. Now that you've got the perfect Viewmodel, let's head back to the play button, navigate back to workshop maps, and click the crosshair map, and hit go. This is fundamentally similar to the Viewmodel section, but instead for your crosshair. Now, you can get very creative with these. You can have dynamic crosshairs that move when you move around, jump, shoot, or even change weapons. You can have a strictly static crosshair that doesn't move at all, and you can have a hybrid of the two that only moves when you're shooting. On the wall in front of you, there'll be a lot of options for customizing your crosshair. If that's a little overwhelming, then perhaps look at the wall of professional and content creator crosshairs to see what you like. If you spot one that works, great, just shoot it and then hit save and exit. If you want to customize it, then feel free to. Outside of this little room is an area to test how your crosshair is going to look on different maps. No point having a crazy cool crosshair if you can't see it. And interestingly, just to the side of that is a wall that will let you practice your spray control, but we'll come back to that much later. Finally, when you're done, make sure to shoot, save and exit on the wall, and save your crosshair. Now that you have your perfect crosshair and Viewmodel, it's time for you to get back out there. If you click play and navigate back to the matchmaking tab, you'll see there's a few grayed out options. These are the ranked game modes, and these are locked until you've played a certain amount of casual, arms race, and deathmatch to help you find your footing in this game. By hovering over the grayed out game modes, you can actually see how close you are to unlocking them. If you think you're going to want to start play competitively and grind the ranks, then I'd suggest starting with casual. It's a good way to learn several maps with accurate meeting points and a more forgiving way to get to grips with the economy system. Deathmatch mode is designed to help you practice your fights. Players spawn randomly around the map, and the only objective is to earn as many points as possible in a 10-minute time frame. And finally, Arms Race is a sillier game mode that doesn't rely on the economy or random spawns, and instead puts you in little arenas where you must rise through the ranks of weapons by getting 2 kills with each one until you have a golden knife, in which case you must knife an enemy to win. If I had to recommend a game mode you start off with, I'd suggest casual initially, and then as you find weapons you like, then refining and practice with them in deathmatch. You may have noticed in casual there's a dedicated tab for a hostage group. Hostage is the other competitive game mode which sees the terrorists on defense encounter terrorists trying to reach the hostage and return them to their spawn. This game mode isn't super popular, but it can be fun to mix it up, so go ahead and try it out if it intrigues you. That's one of the beauties of Counter-Strike. You can make the game whatever you want. If competitive doesn't interest you, there's community-made minigames, surfing, KZ, arms race, and even a smaller 2v2 competitive mode. You've just simply got to discover them all. I'll cover training and practice in a future video, but for now it's important that you get to grips with the basics before we start focusing on anything specific. At this time, you're like a sponge learning loads of new information, and if I give you too much to work with, it'll feel overwhelming and put you off. This video has focused on getting you in, getting you acquainted with the basics, and then getting you comfortable with your game. Game settings, practice, weapons, the economy, that can all come much later, and it will. But for now, just enjoy the learning process and take it all in. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy, and welcome to Counter-Strike. If you've enjoyed this video or have found it at all useful, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Learning Counter-Strike. And of course, a special shout out to my channel members, Electro and Slippy. And remember, if there's any topics in particular you want me to cover, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to look into making a video for it. Make sure to use code EGGLE at refrag.gg for a free 3-day trial, and most importantly, thanks for watching.